So this is just going to be a little bit of an off video, but definitely something I wanted to document. So as of yesterday was a very big wake up call for me. Now, I'll talk about this and I'll illustrate this starting off with a little bit of an example. So if any of you have watched my video on what it's like to be an entrepreneur in Northern Canada, it's one of my most popular videos. Got like, I think, over 1,000 views. So you guys check that out. I talk about how we're always living in extremes, and one extreme is the intense sunlight in the summer and the intense darkness in the winter. So in the winter, there's some days where we only have 7 hours of sunlight, like it's dark until 9:30 a.m. and then the sun sets at 4:30 p.m. And then in the summer, this is reversed, and furthermore, we always have some sort of light. So for example, yesterday at midnight, I was looking at midnight and I was sitting in the living room. I took a video of it, and there was still light in the horizon towards the north. Like you can make out everything outside. Now, what happens with this, and especially in the summer, and this is the example I gave in that video, it's so lively and arguably double lively in the summer than everywhere else, because in the winter, all it was dead, right? And we try to make up for it in the summer. So when you can stay outside until 12 o'clock with still light being out, and you get up at 5 and it's again light, right? Like you get up at 4 and there's still light outside. It's very easy to continue to do things. And one thing that has happened to me recently, and I've fallen victim to, is I've fallen victim to this, right? I've talked about this in my video. Now, give an example of this and what really woke me up to this. Because at the end of the day, I was just cruising along, and yesterday I was like, whoa, like I gotta take a step back and I gotta really reflect on what has been going on. So as of around middle of April, May, and I ended up splitting up with my business partner end of March. And so this also kind of fueled into this. But ever since then, I've been doing way more outside of the business. So I've been playing a lot more sports. I love racket sports. I love badminton. If you guys don't follow my daily videos, very good at badminton. And furthermore, I love all sorts of racket sports. And we have a tennis court in our town. So I'm actually going to play tennis here very soon, which is why I have this shirt on. Which is why I look nice. And ever since the middle of April, I've been doing that way more. And another thing I did is I signed up as the captain for my company's softball team. So our town has like this fun softball league. I've never played softball before, and I ended up signing up for it under the pretense that I wanted to get leadership ability, and I wanted to put myself in a social situation where I'm a little bit uncomfortable and I know that I have to step up to grow, right? A big part of my thesis, big part of everything I stand for is that I want to be uncomfortable. If something is uncomfortable, makes me uncomfortable, I'm going to have to do it, right? Because I know that growth only comes from discomfort. And so because of this, my life has been arguably all sport right now, all social interaction. Like I've been talking with people, making new friends. I've been doing a whole bunch of stuff. And me doing this, and this is also set up. So I've been running an AI agency for, almost a year and a half now. And my social skills have gone way up, or at least I like to think they've gone way up. So all my sales calls, right? Actually, I used to be an awkward kid, and actually this right here, oh no, it's not here. I have a notebook where I wrote down my 1 year goals in the start, like end of 2024. So that would have been for 2025 last year. One of my biggest goals was to be charismatic and to be good socially. And from where I was at the beginning of 2024 to now, I've achieved that 100%. And because of that, I find so much joy in going into those interactions. And to further support this, I'm having fun. I am enjoying myself, right? I'm not trapped in my room when it's dark outside for 18 hours and minus 30. You go outside and you can freeze to death in literal minutes. Now it's nice outside, right? My window's open. I'm in shorts. The temperature is nice. I can go play sports. I can go play sports with a whole bunch of my friends. I can sign up for sports leagues, right? I can go into town. I can talk with people. I can arrange dinners. All of this. And this has given me so much joy that I've actually started to ponder if I'm on the right path, right? And not necessarily, I don't want to say on the right path because it's a very loaded term, and I've used that. A lot of situations have came to that, or like made me think that, I guess you could say. However, I realized for like the past month and a half, because if you guys again haven't been following my journey on like Instagram, for a month and a half, I've been just trying to build like this full outline of everything I knew about the agency. Now, I like to think that I was just trying to provide value in a time where that's what I could do. So, for instance, when my business partner and I split up, there were still some assets I was waiting for. And that was a valid reason, like 100% that's a valid reason. However, now that I'm taking a step back and I've reflected on this, I think this was subconsciously me pushing myself away from doing the needle moving tasks on the agency. And because of that, right, that's not something sustainable at all, right? The biggest thing to get stuff done in life, in the agency, whatever it is, you need to attack the things that matter, right? The needle moving tasks. Literally the most important thing I've ever learned in my realm of online business so far. And I've been avoiding that for almost a month and a half, and I've got nothing done. However, in that month and a half, I don't think I've been as happy as I have been all year. In a 12-month period, I don't think there's been a time where I've been more happy. So, right, this genuine happiness that I'm feeling, this not necessarily fulfillment, and that's what I'm going to touch on, but this happiness, I'm so content right now. Furthermore, when I split up with my business partner, I didn't have any business expenses anymore, right? Because I basically stopped the agency. So I wasn't spending, $2.5K on the business. I was able to save $2.5K straight to my bank account. What did that do for me? I saw my investments coming up. I saw, my savings coming up. My parents were proud of me for saving all this money. And, I'll read this. And so I have a high-paying job, right? Saving a ton of money, investing a lot of money. My social life and friendships are fulfilling. I play sports whenever I want. I feel confident and confidence that I'm getting at work. So at work, I have a very important job, right? And I basically am the guy who tells people what to do. That's a very coveted job, very important job. And furthermore, I have it at my age. I'm trying to use that to my advantage to get, confidence, leading a team, telling people what to do, having those leadership abilities, all of this. And so back to the main point of this, right? I've been avoiding what I've needed to do for almost a month and a half. And I'm starting to rationalize that the bad stuff that I'm doing, not necessarily bad stuff, but there is some bad habits I'm falling back into. I'm rationalizing it because I'm thinking, why does it matter? At the end of the day, I'm fulfilled. I have the social dimension of my life fulfilled. I have the wealth dimension of my life fulfilled, right? Investing a ton, saving a ton. My health, I'm playing sports, right? Maybe I'm not eating the best and maybe I'm not working out as much as I should. And then health, wealth, love, happiness. I'm so fulfilled, right? I love sports. I love leading teams. I love social parts of this. I'm with my family more. Why is it that I'm trying to push for something that I feel like I'm trying to push for as an end goal that I already have if I take a step back? And so this has led to me, and I talked to some of the people that I know that are furthermore in the space, right? Like they're making a lot of money. The one guy I talked to, if you're watching this, I don't know if I'll say your name, but he just bought a BMW. I think it's what did they say? WM5 or something. And it's a car he's dreamed of about a kid. And he finally did it because his agency is doing so well, right? And I asked him, and I told him this. I was like, I feel fulfilled. Like, why do I have to keep doing this? Like, what is in it for me? And he just said, you got to sacrifice. Because at the end of the day, like, you have to have that balance. But if you want something bad enough, you're going to have to sacrifice for it. And that's something I think I've lost in translation, right? I'm not sacrificing enough of the fun stuff right now to focus on this. Now, there is a balance, right? I don't believe in monk mode. I know monk mode is something that, an idea very popular among the entrepreneur community, but I don't believe in it, right? To a certain extent, I do believe that you have to work fervently for your goals. However, other dimensions in your life, if you encompass it, it can actually help you increase. So, for example, we're social creatures, right? Read Social by Matthew Lieberman. What's another good book that explains it? I forget. A lot of these books that I read like reference each other. And we were programmed to be social, right? We grew up in tribes. And you getting rid of that dimension in your life, there was an analogy that was used. Oh yeah, okay, this is the analogy. So you yourself, you can survive without social interactions, but it's just like surviving off of pop or tea. You can survive off of it, but at the end of the day, it's not going to be as fulfilling. It's not going to set you up the best you can possibly be if you were just drinking water, right? And so that idea goes back to that. You can survive without this social dimension of your life, but if you want to be the most fulfilled you can, you have to incorporate it. And so for me, I feel like I'm way on the other end of the spectrum right now, and I'm only rationalizing that because of these thoughts I'm having. Like, why do I need to continue doing this, right? And so all of that. Now, to combat this, and as a lesson I can make for ending this video, I have spent the past 2 days, I've said, you know what, stepping away from the business, because I have been getting a lot done. A lot done. Like, I feel like my output has been like less than 30%, but, you know, compared to the average person, it's, you know, way more, but I'd say it's around 30%. I decided for 2 days, and I haven't done this in a long time, I've decided I'm just not going to do anything. I'm going to take a step back and literally just reflect. So for example here, I'll put this on my shirt. I've spent the last 2 days just reflecting on my why, right? Reminding myself why it is that I'm doing it. I've talked about, you know, different reasons for my why, all of this. What else did I talk about? I went through my whole entire schedule, everything that I needed to do. I basically just wrote it down so I could have an action plan, right? Because at the end of the day, I'm falling to my systems. That's a bad habit of this, right? Because I'm not so focused on my work. I'm not following my systems anymore. And I talk about this a lot. My systems, your systems are the most important thing that dictate the amount of output that you're going to have. That's one thing, right? And I taped these two things on my wall. It's my full schedule for the day. And then another thing, and this was something I wrote maybe 6 months ago. It says, you will regret yourself for not becoming the person you knew you could be. The word regret is in bubble letters, right? It's circled. Everything is underlined. Everything is capital letters. That's my reminder, right? For me, myself, you know, I just have to remind myself why I'm doing this. You know, one of the biggest things is my parents. I want to retire both my parents. My mom, she's in a profession where, you know, her body is starting to fail her. And she's still doing it. My dad's in a place where he said to me, you know, I feel like this job is stealing my life. You know, when someone you love, right, and when someone you care about so deeply says that, it's so hard not to be moved, right? And so for me, myself, right, my parents, big dimension of this. And, you know, I have to remind myself why, right? I could live a very happy life, but at the end of the day, if I just continued on my job, let's say I retire in 15 years, which I could, depending on a few things, but let's just say theoretically, didn't focus on the business at all, just focused on my job. I could retire in 15 years. I could retire in 20 years. If I were to do that though, I couldn't achieve the things I knew I wanted to achieve, right? For example, traveling the world, location freedom. Maybe I could after 20 years. But in those 20 years, right, what else happened? My parents, you know, big thing of that. I want to retire both of them. Do I want them to work for 20 more years? No, I don't. And the biggest thing I think of all for my why, I think is no regrets, right? And I was just talking, so my family's up right now. We have a little bit of a family emergency. And that's also another reason why I haven't been getting a lot done, but it's beside the fact. And I was talking to my like my uncle, and he was talking to me, and he was like, you know what, a piece of advice I could give for you, you know, when you're young, take every opportunity you can, right? And he told me this story about how his first job ever, he was a fishing guide for a lodge up north in the Northwest Territories. That's like northern remote Canada, like this remote lodge. And he loves fishing. And he told me the story about it. His roommate in college. Had a picture of the place that he worked with. And he was like, hey, you know what? That's interesting. He asked his buddy, like his roommate, he's like, hey, can I get the number for this guy? He called up the guy, like, hey, I just graduated college. I have my, degree in fishery and everything. Can I send you over a resume to do that? The guy asked him a few questions. Be like, okay, you start next week. Fly out from Edmonton. Right? That's an amazing opportunity. And furthermore, he said, no regrets. One idea that my friends and I want to do this summer, want to go up to the Arctic Circle. Right, for me, where I live, it's like a 1.5-day drive, 2-day drive up to the Arctic Circle. The road to Tuk, the Tuktoyaktuk, the Dempster Highway, right? Popular road. And so I was telling him about that, and he's like, do it, man. No regrets. Like, see the world when you're young, do the things you want to do. And for me, myself, I have to do that, right? The regret thing, it's, what do they call it? Like the nursing home test. One of the things that people in nursing homes, biggest thing that they say when they're on their deathbed is like, I wish I would have took more risks. I'm not going to end up like that, right? And at the end of the day, if I subject myself to this to give a better life for my family, my parents, myself, leave a legacy for others, me making these videos, right? For you watching, I hope I give you some sort of motivation. I'm reading a book right now, Awaken the Giant Within, Tony Robbins. That book has actually helped me a lot with this too. But he says, he always went with the idea of like every page that he was reading, everything he was listening to, every podcast, audiobook, he was always looking for the next thing, like spark an epiphany. So for example, I hope that one thing I'm saying really touches you, really moves you forward and thinks, you know what? Just changes how you think, right? At the end of the day, as Tony Robbins says, you have to draw a line in the sand. I'm not going to expose this. You guys can pause this and do it. Read that. It's embarrassing. But it's stuff that I need to do. I need to stop, right? Some of the bad habits that I'm having. You need to draw a line in the sand. And I hope, an account, a story, an analogy, anything that I can say to you, you finally decide, this is where I draw the line, right? So that's what has been happening to me recently, right? As of yesterday, I talked to my mentor. He hasn't gone back to me yet, but I talked to the other guy I was talking about who told me like, dude, like you got to sacrifice some stuff for some stuff. Just had to remind myself why I'm doing it, right? At the end of the day, what's the quote? The enemy of the great is good. What that means, the enemy or, what is stopping you from achieving extraordinary success is complacency, right? Getting comfortable, staying in that place where you're okay to stay, right? And not break past that other one. So that's the video, right? I hope you guys got a lesson. I hope you guys, some perspective that I've gained over past 2 days, right? Because literally yesterday I was thinking, why am I doing this? I have everything I already want. Then I reminded myself, you want to retire your parents aren't going to be here for long. You can't live with regrets. What are you going to do when you're 40? And you're thinking back, you're like, you know what? I wish I would have quit my job when I was 20 for that year and just see where it would have taken me, right? So that's that. Needed to make this, needed to document this. Definitely something that's tested me and something that eluded me, right? I went a month and a half really not doing meaningful stuff before I finally took a step back and realized, like, holy cow, I need to have a paradigm shift. So if you're watching this far, take a step back, right? Think why, right? Refresh your why. I'm probably going to start refreshing my why every quarter, every half a year. Because I haven't done this in a long time. I haven't done this since the start of 2025. I just took a day, right? Everything that's important to me. As well, read the book, Awaken the Giant Within, Tony Robbins, right? So for example, some stuff, just read it. Just read it. So thank you guys for watching. Again, hope I gave you guys value. Make sure to subscribe, stick around for more. As well, that outline I was talking about for the AI agency, if you guys want to join that, make sure to join that. Link below in the description. As well, join my free AI agency Discord and follow me on Instagram or DM me on Instagram or comment here, anything too. I love insight from anyone. You watching this, you're going to be an entrepreneur, right? You're going to be better than most. I hate to use the word better. That's obviously a loaded term, but you're going to give, good perspective and I want to hear it. So DM me on Instagram, comment under this video. But that is that. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.